Human rights are a myth. Here's why. Now, to be clear, I think that rights are useful legal fictions. Much like the principle of innocent until proven guilty, we have a good reason to keep them as part of the law. Obviously, someone is not literally innocent until proven guilty. Their guilt is independent of what has been proven. But we legally impose this requirement because it makes society better. However, I argue rights are not irreducible. We only care about them if they make society have better consequences. 1. Think about all of the things that we think of as rights. They're very arbitrary collections of things that we can do with ourselves or with property. For example, I have the right not to let other people go into my house, but I don't have the right not to let other people look at my house. I have the right to not have other people touch me, but I don't have the right to not let other people talk to me. The reason for this is that society goes best when we are given the right to prevent others from entering our house or from touching us. But society is worse when we have the right not to let other people look at our house or talk to us. Both of them involve inflicting a physical effect on us, but the only difference is the consequences of the rule. Society does not go well when certain things are enshrined as rights, and so we don't enshrine them as rights. Everything that we think of as rights are really just arbitrary bundles of things that we're allowed to do with ourselves or property. And we would change our conception of rights if other collections of things we can do with property were better for well-being. If we all had laser vision, such that when we looked at others we caused them immense suffering, then it would be a crime to look at others unsolicited. 2. We can see this specifically with rights being conditional on suffering. For example, we generally think that you have the right to pollute a little bit. When you exhale, you pollute slightly. However, we make exhaling legal. The reason for this is that society goes best when it is safe and legal to exhale. However, if there was an activity that caused hundreds of deaths because of a large amount of pollution, such as dumping toxic waste into rivers, many of us would agree that that should be illegal. The reason is that there is a difference in scale and in the amount of suffering, but it's not a difference in kind. Dumping toxic waste into a river is the same type of thing as exhaling. One just causes a lot more suffering than the other. A similar principle applies with masks. Most of us agree that a mask mandate is reasonable with high-risk populations at the very least. However, if there were not suffering caused by disease brought about by not wearing a mask, then a mask mandate would be an unreasonable infringement on our liberty. For those who oppose a mask mandate, they could surely imagine a world where a mask mandate would be desirable. For example, if there were a disease that could be prevented 100% by wearing masks, but that was very, very contagious without masks and at a 100% mortality rate, we would all agree that mask mandates are reasonable. Thus, the right to wear a mask, or to not wear a mask, is contingent on the well-being that happens if we have that right versus the well-being that happens if we don't have that right. Finally, we generally think that you don't have the right not to hear other people make noises, yet you do have the right not to be exposed to deafening waves of sound. The difference is that one makes society have better outcomes and the other one doesn't. Again, the difference is in scale and in degree rather than in kind. Now, the main objection that I'll respond to here is the claim that the rights that we have are all just the right not to be harmed. This would explain why all of these rights are reducible to reducing harm. However, this can't explain why we look at not just the cost, but also the benefits. For example, we would allow people to pollute in ways that harm others, say kill 100 people, if it prevented millions of people from starving by bringing about very efficient energy. If we think that the benefits outweigh the cost, then we think pollution is permissible. We think that it would be a violation of rights to require everyone to wear a full bodysuit that has perfectly filtered ventilation, because even though it would produce major benefits and prevent a lot of people from being harmed, it itself would cause a lot of harm. So we compare the costs and the benefits. But if the only right was the right not to harm others, then we could restrict all activities that harm others. Rather, the only way to conceive of rights is by comparing the benefits and the costs. And if we recognize that rights only matter if they cause good consequences, if the benefits of upholding the rights outweigh the costs, and that we can violate them if doing so has benefits that outweigh the harms, then that sounds less like a notion of rights and more like consequentialism. Thus, Rights are merely legal fictions that only give us reason to care about them if they make society have better consequences. Now, don't get me wrong, that doesn't mean that rights are unimportant, any more than the principle of innocent until proven guilty is unimportant. Rather, it means that they're only important in the pursuit of a greater goal, and that goal is a better society for the sentient beings in it. Well, that's all for now. Thanks for watching, like and subscribe and such. And also, if you disagree, explain why in the comments. Thanks.